Okay, good morning. Welcome back to the shop. We're in for a treat today. Today's fret slotting day. I'm going to try to do slots on the frets here. So we're going to pull this little monster out and mount it to the machine here a little. It goes, for those who haven't seen it before, it goes here like so. And just need to mount it onto the machine a little bit, and then we'll oh yeah, I remember how I do this. I have to raise the router in the mount. I use that as my clearance. Send the router up a ways. We'll send it up a little more here, like that. And just hang on to it for a second. Then we take these screws out and just put these down here. This takes a little bit of doing. It's not a chore I like to do too often if I can help it, but every fretboard I do, I tend to do this. All 2 fretboards I've done with it. I didn't use it on the first guitar, but I made a sawing jig for a friend for Harrison Phipps. All right, now we should be able to hook. There's some roll pins here and a couple of holes. This should get us positioned pretty well. And then I can set them onto these roll pins. Let's get those aligned here. It takes a second. Takes a little bit of pushing around here, but I got these sides done, so I'm going to send this one tightened. And then I'll work the other sides. Okay, put our bolts back in here. There it goes. That pushes them back onto the pins. And that really should get this little bugger realigned where it was supposed to be, where it was the last time it was on. So we should be good to go there. And we just tighten this really good. This should save me a lot of tramming, I hope. That was what my intention was anyway. Fingers crossed that that's actually the reality of it all. Okay. Now in theory I should be able to bring the router down and grab a hold of this shank. Just like, there we go, and like that. Okay, and we can tighten down our collet here. I'm gonna tighten the collet before I tighten the router, because I want to make sure that the collet is tight enough. I want to make sure we're not bottomed out on the collet though, so I'm gonna give this just a tiny bit of snugness. It'll still move if it needs to. And just snug this down onto our shank here. And give that a nice little cinching. Now I should be able to loosen this, get everything to seat nicely. Sure you're going to go that way. Yeah. It's spinning pretty nice. We can tighten the router down here. And with any luck, this still spins nice and freely. I should be able to spin the router with this, and I can. Beautiful. Okay, so in theory, that's going to be the quietest it can possibly be. This thing is a bit noisy, but there we go. All right, so we're going to fire this thing up here in a second and see how bad it is noise-wise. Make sure things are aligned nice. I think it's going to be the best it's ever been. So bring you back when I'm ready to turn that on. I got to kick up the router, or kick up the computer. This is going to be way too loud, but here's a sense of what it sounds like. Which, frankly, isn't that bad compared to what I've heard it before, so I can live with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to throw the blade on here, which is set, it's just a slitting saw, 23 thou slitting saw, and it's always in a climb cut position, so we're going to run this direction. The teeth face this way, so put our nut down here, and we grab a hold with the nut wrench. Yo, and now it is on snugly. Then all we really have to do at this point is set up for zeros, because it's ready to start cutting. Okay, so we are all rigged now. Fretboard is still nice and firmly attached. It's not going anywhere. And I have this fixture already set, so when I hit go to 0, it'll go here and raise itself a little bit, and now my y-axis is 0. So this way, it's centered on the fretboard right now. So all I've got to do is move my x-axis to where I want my nut slot to begin, and zero the x out, and then I'll move my z down as well and get that close to the top surface. And I'm going to move down just a tiny bit more, and we're going to call that x0 now. I'm going to switch my fixture now to this point. I'm going to switch it so I don't end up saving it wrong. So my x can now be 0. And we're going to take our sheet of paper and zero out my z. It's getting there. There it is. One more and it'll start spinning the blade. Almost. That's good. Okay. And then we'll come down 1, 2, 3. Almost touching. Almost touching. One more. 4, 5. Yeah, that's touching now. Okay. So we can zero our Z now. Now all I gotta do is load the G code that I put together with the script I wrote. And we shall be ready to start cutting. So real quickly, making sure that doesn't look bad, looks good. So that's my 0 point right there. That's where the fretboard starts. Smacked into my board. So yeah, we're ready to start cutting. I'm gonna put on the beautiful music for you and cross my fingers that everything holds together and doesn't get all messed up. So away we go. All right, cool. That took exactly 5 minutes or so. Exactly or so, I said. And we has ourselves a fret slotted fretboard. A slotted fretboard. That's the phrase I was looking for. A slotted fretboard. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, just like the plans called for. And they are plenty deep. Perfect. I love this. I love this little rig. It works really, really well. fretboard is slotted. Now I can pull this whole machine back off because it's done. I'm done with what I needed it to do, and we can cut out the profile for it, so it'll be shaped as well. And then now I definitely need to work out what I'm going to do for inlays. So I'll bring you back in the next steps. Okay, so I have figured out what I'm doing for my fretboard inlays now, and so what I'm going to do next is zero my end mill. So I've got an 1/8 inch end mill in here, and I want to zero it even with the, no, stop. Got a little bit harsh. So I want to zero it with the nut slot, with the that edge of the nut slot. But the slot I made is too narrow, and it's really just there for reference anyway. So all I'm going to do real quick is make a little bit of a clearance zone for it, and I'm well away. I'm over this way. I'm this way from that zone, so I can just cut a little clearing pass here. So I'm just going to kick on the router and make a quick little slice. So bear with the noise here for just a second. So that should take care of getting me enough room. Now I'm just going to take and stick a little slip of paper, if I can find it. I'll just take a little strip of this here, and I'm just going to stick that. I'm going to go a little bit smaller than that, so it'll fit down here. And I'm just going to stick that paper right here, and then I will just take one thou at a time towards it. We're getting close. No, not yet. At some point it will grab that piece and send it. So we'll just kind of shoot for catching it just right here. Ooh, we're getting really close here. I'm going to go one more thou. One more will do it, I bet. I'd say we've come very close. I'd like to get a feel. Oh yeah, we're definitely on that one. So I'm going to go 2 more thou. 1 more thou. Kind of going until I can sense that it's touching. 1 more. I'm just sort of looking to I'd say we're beyond it. Go right there. We're okay there. Alright, so now that I feel like we are, oh yeah, we can go 1 more thou that way. Just trying to get a sense of, let's see if I can get a feel for it. I want to know it's on there. Yeah, that's it. I can feel it hit. Feel it just rub. Okay, so that's going to be my new X0. But my Y0 stays the same, which is the center of the fretboard. So now if we zero my Z real quick, I'm going to zero the Z up because I'm going to run this code up in the air first. And just zero here. Now if I go to 0, we're just going to put ourselves back on the center. And now I'm going to load this G code and I'm going to check it to make sure that my fret dots, the markers that I'm going to make down there, land in the right spots. And I'll pull back and bring you back for that. Okay, so I'm kind of zeroed a bit more than a 1/4 inch above the surface. The whole idea here is I'm going to just cut air, or pretend to cut air. We're going to do a quick little dry run. What I want to make sure is that the markers are lined where I want them on the fret slots. So I'm going to drop the feed rate down quite a lot to 10%, what I would normally do, which is going to be really freaking slow, which is fine. I want it slow. And I'm just going to run it. The router would be on right now, and it would be cutting. Well, the router would be spinning right now. Okay, boom, the router just kicked on. Now it's going to run over to where the first fret marker will be, and it's going to plunge down, and I want to watch where that lands. Okay, so that's going to be right close. Okay, that looks good. I'm literally watching it. Make sure that what I want to do is make sure that it ends up the right distance from each fret. I don't want to have one come too close to a fret. That one looked kind of close. We'll see. So that was the 5th. This will be the 7th fret here. Yeah, those are looking really, really close to me. Alright, this will be the 9th coming up. No, that's okay, actually. Although I probably just want to run them a little further than that. This will be the 12th coming up here. I'm literally just dry run, seeing how this is going to do. So that's 12. And it should go over that way and do the next one maybe, or will it stay put? Yeah, it did. Okay. Oh. That's interesting. I wonder if it was running... Yeah, it must be. It's interesting that it did the inside one first. It must have worked its way inside. Okay. So when we get down to these last few down here, I want to make sure there's... what I'm trying to do is make sure that it doesn't end up under a fret, so the top of the fret could overlap it. I'm thinking I'm going to send it another 30, 35, 30 or 40 thou that way. They all seem a little bit close. And this is why I'm doing this method, is to see just how badly it positions. Now it's getting ready to do the cutout. I don't really care about the cutout right now. And we're going to shut the router off. It just did. We'll rewind. And we're going to go back to 0 real fast here. I can reset my feed rate. And go there quickly. Okay. And I'm going to drop it down a bit more. I want to get it. I want to send it down a little closer. There. I'm going to 0 here, and as long as I send it, less over 100, we should be fine. So I'm going to go back to 10% of my feed rate once again here. And go even slower, I guess. We'll go there. We'll run it one more time, and I want to confirm that we're actually going to be in a problem zone here. So let's let it do it slowly. Where do you land? The fret might be okay there. It's going to be really close, and I think I'd like to get a little less close. Yeah, it's about 100 and so. It's a little close. I think I'm going to move it another 30 or 40 thou southward here. Yeah, because as I watch, I'm watching the tip of the cutter and the fret that it's going up against and seeing just where does it actually land. Just to be sure that it lands where I'd like it to. It might actually be fine. Maybe it's fine. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it another 30 or so thou. Just shift everything over another 30 thou. It looks a little bit too snug for my deal, for my likings. I think it's a little too tight. I think it's too close to the fret. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright, we have it worked out. I shifted things down just a tiny little bit, so things are gonna be a little further from the fret and the edge of the fretboard. So I'm ready to go with this. I got the dust shoe on, so we're just ready to jam it. So let's get it started. Okay, so what I did was I oversized the fretboards. The way I drew this in my cam is I was going to cut the fretboard profile oversized by about, I think, a 1/4 inch, or maybe it was only an 1/8. I can't remember. But it turns out when I rough cut it on the bandsaw, I was already rough that size. So I gained 0. It wasn't cutting on the edges, so we're fine there. We've got a basic idea of the rough length now. This is still oversized. I'm actually oversized here too. But what we really needed was these pockets for the inlays, and I've decided to go with these little dots, and I'm gonna try a little something. As far as the CNC is concerned, the fretboard is done, and we can peel it up off of here. So I'm gonna do that, and we'll go over to the bench and we'll show you the next bits. Okay, so I think it's time we can radius this fretboard now. I could do it on the neck too. Either way, I've done it. I think I've done it both ways. I like this method because then I don't have to worry about the positioning yet, and it lets me do the inlay stuff, and I'm going to go with this method. There's a bunch of ways, a million ways to end up with an angry bald cat. So anyway, fretboard radiusing. I've got some some sticky back 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to go with a 12-inch radius. That's a 12, just like I did on the 335. It seems to be what I feel most comfortable playing on. I really like the feel of a 12-inch radius. So I'm just going to stick down a pile of sticky back sandpaper here of the 80 grit, and then get after this thing. I mean, this is pretty not a monumental, but a pretty good sized milestone, I'd say, for radiusing the fretboard. So I want to radius it before I put the inlay stuff in, because then I don't have to take as much of the inlay apart, or sand away as much of the inlay as I would if I'd radiused it after. So go with it like this. Got the 80 grit, got this, and this is going to be a bit boring, but you'll see the whole thing here. I'm gonna chalk this entire surface, and when the chalk is gone in the middle, I will be done radiusing. So just get a good coating on there, just like that. And then it's just a matter of don't twist it. And I got the center lines lined up nicely, so we'll just give it a quick little rub, and you can see it's touching all the way along the sides. This is standard. So we're just gonna get after it. It's a good step. Radiusing the fretboard time. Okay, so that was literally 10 minutes. I'm going to get asked, you guys ask every time I do one of these, and I've done 2, I think, or something like that. Why don't I use the CNC to do the radius? Because a straight radius that's just continuous, the same all the way, the whole neck, a simple radius, it's 10 minutes and it's done. On the CNC, the cut time on that even if I got like a really big dishing bit with a large bottom radius, the cut time would take an hour, probably 15, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But the surface I get will be fluted. It'll have ribs that'll have to get sanded out anyways, and then I'll spend another 3 or 4 minutes after that getting them sanded out. By the time I get done with radiusing it on the CNC, we're looking at maybe 45 minutes to an hour's worth of time. Sanding jig took 10 minutes, so that's the reason why I don't use the CNC for the radiusing. Maybe someday when I'm doing a bunch of fretboards it would be worthwhile, but at the moment this is fastest. There is one thing I do need to do. My radiusing, or my slotting jig, the rig that I use for slotting the fret slots, it puts a flat bottom fret slot in, and you have to kind of get it, well, I don't know how to explain it, but because it's flat bottom and then you radius it, I take the ends of the fret. The slots are basically gone on the outer edges, so I have to deepen these with a fret saw. What I'm going to do is modify the software modify the software that generates the G-code to do arcs, so that it'll actually do a curved bottomed fret slot, so that when it does get radiused, it'll match that radius and I won't lose my slot depth. I may still have to deepen them, but not as badly, not nearly as much. So that's why, and that's the reasoning behind what I just did. I'm going to try to avoid some splinters here, because there's some really good ones on this on these edges here. But I'm going to get set up for the next operation, which is to put the inlays in. So I radiused it to with 80 grit. And now I'm going to put the inlays in, and then I'll flatten those out, and we'll do one more final little scuff radius, and then we can start to, I believe we can start to polish this. Maybe not. Maybe we'll be able to put it on the neck, then polish it. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what I'm going to do then. But right now I'm going to go get my inlay material and cut them up and get them ready to go. Alright, so here's where we're heading. Anyways, I cut a bunch of bits, and this is the look we're after here. I don't know how well you can tell. Yeah, you can see that. Brass into there, and then polished. The rosewood, that's no finish. That's just rosewood polished to 12,000 grit micro mesh. So we're going to head for something about like that, hopefully. So I've got a bunch of these cut. Hopefully they'll fit. And a bunch of epoxy configured here. I'm going to grab a tiny mallet. Oh, and I drop them on the floor, and that's a bad thing because I don't know where they land. I may have to go cut some more. So this is one of the hazards. Is these little guys are teeny. Alright, I'm going to go hunt that thing down, and then we'll figure out the next steps. Okay, I cut another one and an extra, and I've laid down a little double-sided tape here to hopefully be my helper, my little keeper. Hopefully. Hope this works. Might be too sticky. It's too bad it's not magnetic, eh? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little mallet, which I forgot to go grab, and a little scrap block, and I'll use that to sort of send it in, and then I'll just hold it in place while the glue dries. I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy, and I'm just going to make up little batches as necessary. I've got a bunch of popsicle sticks. I'll just mix up a drop at a time so that I can just work at a pace that isn't constrained by glue, and then we'll get these things inserted. So I'm going to start by mixing up a bit, and we'll start here and we'll just work our way down. Alright, mallet, scrap of wood. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on 1 second. That was nice. Alright. So now we're going to take a drop. I'm just going to put it on one of these here oops, popsicle sticks. I gotta go get that before I start this mess. I'm dropping crap everywhere here. So we'll take a drop of that here. Ooh, that's way more than a drop, but that's alright. Do a drop of this right beside it. Ooh, that's a lot. I'm making a mess. Good thing I have this paper towel sitting right here. How convenient. Okay, there's just a little back pressure in that one, so just stir these two guys together. And then I will, that's what I had those little hooks for, was to push it down into this hole. We're going to see if it's feasible here to coat a plug with it. And to get some on the sides as well. Now let's see if I can get it into the near and towards the hole. And then take our scrap here, send it on in. Hey, that worked beautifully. In fact, actually hurting my scrap block is too soft. I'm gonna have to go, and it peeled out. Okay, come on now. Okay, it's in there, but it's digging into this, so that's a bad block, but I can still hold it down with a bit of metal. Yeah, that sticks up nicely. Okay, I'm literally just going to sit here and hold it till the glue sets, so that I'm not fighting any pneumatic pressure or anything like that. So I'm literally just going to take my time with this. It's going to be probably 5 minutes a piece, because that epoxy takes 5 minutes to cure. At least until it sets and that thing doesn't slip around. It seems like it's okay. So we're gonna chance it and try another one here on the same mix. I've got enough on it that I think it'll squeeze out, and then set it enough to start it. And then I think I'm going to try to find a bit of maple to use as my driver. That one worked well, actually. Okay, I'm going to go for a third. Living on the edge here. Just going for it. Got 3 or 4 minutes in, so we've only got a couple minutes left on this pot of epoxy. Okay, that's enough. Let's get the tipper in there. That worked. Yeah, it's holding just fine too. No, those need to be held in. That one's stuck. That one's good. So I'm just going to hold this one with this and this with this. Let them sit. You know, give them 25 seconds or so, 20-30 seconds to just let that glue capillary its way in, or whatever it's got to do. Okay, yeah, it's not bouncing around any. It's not bouncing around any. Seems okay. Okay, good. I think we can do another one here. Good morning. Welcome back to the shop. You guys probably saw this right off the machine. I screwed up. You're supposed to skip 2 frets after the 12th. I did not. So I'm going to get you a view here. So everything here is up. They're shifted. They need to come down. This should have been here. This should have been here. I screwed up my fret markers. So it's not a disaster, but it's unacceptable. So I have to make a new one. Dang it. This one's a nice board. I'm not going to throw this one out. It's not useless, but I'm going to hold it around for a while and keep it as a reminder that I got to get my head on, use my brain a little bit more than I did. So I'm going to go ahead and remake this thing with one of the other bits of fretboard that I've got laying around. I'm going to spare you the dialogue this time, and I'm just going to get after it. I think I'm going to put the camera in one spot and just go. Go like the wind, if you will. So stay tuned. We'll bring you back here in a bit.